Good afternoon, everyone. It's certainly panto season, and as Paul said, this isn't where I thought I'd be spending mid-Christmas. And then you wouldn't believe the stuff that they have backstage as well. It's fantastic. This is how I'm starting my panto season, and hopefully I'll be able to get my kids out very soon. But what I have to discuss today really is no joke. And I just wanted to let all of you know that as the Conservative Party leader, and also as an MP for a rural constituency, a constituency that has many small businesses, I understand what it is that you are dealing with. I am here to let you know that we get it. We have experienced very much what you are seeing because we have business backgrounds as well. If you look at the shadow cabinet, you will see people who have started businesses, who run family businesses, who understand what it is that is required in order to keep all of your enterprises going. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Why is BPR so important? And I know you've had lots of panelists, and Emily has been conducting really good conversations, but at the end of the day, what matters is what the politicians understand, what we think, and what we are doing. So I'm here to give you the Conservative Party's perspective. Why is BPR so important? The aim of business property relief is to ensure that family businesses are not broken up or sold on the death of the owner. Family businesses are different. They are special. Farms are the sine qua non. Everyone knows how hard it is to keep a farm going, and it is often only the people within the family who understand how the business works and how to keep it surviving. And so that's why we're really disappointed that Labour is cutting that 100% relief for assets over $1 million. We know that scrapping BPR is going to be incredibly damaging. Yes, it is true, you do need to fund public services, but you have to do that in the right way. It's no good simply rushing somewhere and grabbing money you can see. If you damage the business that's underneath, it will not be able to create more growth, more profit, more taxes for the next year. We have to do this in the right way. If inheritance tax applies to these assets that small businesses have painstakingly built over time, they may not exist again. And that is why we are opposed to the decisions that they have made on agricultural property relief and on business property relief. This decision is going to drain investment and growth out of the British economy. And my team have been doing a lot of research into what the impact of this new change is going to be. Research done by CBI Economics shows that Labour's changes to BPR could cause 125,000 job losses. So just for some context, that figure is equivalent to the entire population of Blackburn. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of jobs. Where are they going to go afterwards? The CBI also said that those changes would mean family businesses will have to cut investment. They'll have to cut it by over 16%. They'll also have to reduce headcount. So it's not just about no longer being able to invest in the business. It's about removing jobs which currently exist. 10.2%, losing turnover of 7.4%. That is a lot. In aggregate, it comes to about £2.6 billion of a loss in tax revenue. The government says it is doing these things to raise taxes. We believe that actually it's going to shrink the tax take because it will destroy the businesses that provide that income. CBI Economics also says it will hit total economic output by 9.4 billion. That 85% of family businesses plan to decrease that investment. More than half of them, more than half of family businesses think that they're going to be letting people go. We cannot afford this. And I think that as an opposition, we need to make sure that we are holding the government to account. I'm not here to make lots of jokes about them. You would have heard all the jokes about CVs and them never running a business and needing freebies, but I think this is really serious. It is really serious. We need the government to understand how business works. If you look at the economy today, you'll find that fewer and fewer people are entrepreneurs. Our economy is becoming more and more bureaucratic. We have fewer people starting businesses. We have fewer people going into agriculture. It's too difficult. Everyone wants to do what's easy. And so we end up creating a bureaucratic class that doesn't really understand how stuff works. And when people like that get into government, they make changes like the ones we've seen to APR and BPR, which are damaging. And that is why today I can tell you that we will reverse this damaging tax grab at the earliest opportunity. It is absolutely essential that we go back to how things work. We had a budget in March that was able to deliver funding for public services without this sort of damaging tax cut. It cannot be done again. The reason why Labour is going for these taxes is because it's choosing to spend money in places that it does not need to, places that are not essential public services. But we understand the contribution small and family business make to the UK economy. You often hear us talking about being the party of business. Sometimes people think that we're the party of big business. We are not. We are the party of entrepreneurs. We're the party of every business, because we know that it is not government that creates growth. It is business that creates growth. And actually, a lot of the time, government needs to get out of the way. And that's what I'm offering you today. The Conservative Party is under new leadership. We know that we made a lot of mistakes. We're not here to pretend that everything was fine when we were in government. And life is difficult, times are tough, not just in this country, but across the world. But I know that if we don't do right by those people who are starting out, who are entrepreneurs, who are creating small businesses, family businesses, medium-sized enterprises, we're not going to have those big businesses of the future. And we also need to think about the next generation. I am very worried that many young people look out and feel that there is no hope for them. They can't afford their student loans, they can't afford mortgages, they can't afford to start a family. We need to give them hope. I would like to see so many more of them doing what you do. Everyone in this audience remembers when they first started their business, or when they first took over from their parent or from their grandparent, and what that was like. You had hope, you had optimism, you thought tomorrow was going to be a lot better. Many young people today do not believe that tomorrow is going to be better, and we need to change that. So we will reverse this damaging tax, and we won't just have a charm offensive with you, like other parties telling you what you want to hear. We are going to show you that we understand and that we are going to deliver. So on behalf of the Conservative Party, I want to say thank you for bringing this to us, and I want to let you know that we are on your side. We understand what you are dealing with, and we are going to fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
I think Kemi says is that the word red tape is often sort of thrown around, but actually what anyone who runs a business understands, and my mother began her first business when she was 16, my husband runs a business, my sister runs a business, I run a business, my brother runs a business, is red tape actually means rising costs. When Labour, when this government come back and said, oh, we think when all these businesses will go to their accountants and then they'll realise we're not really doing them any damage, well, you think people who run a business don't talk to their accountants? I mean, that can only be said by someone who doesn't run a business. But also that every time you pick up the phone to a tax advisor, you are actually sent a bill for that. And that's what red tape actually occurs. Red tape actually adds layer after layer after layer of costs to your business that you could otherwise be using to employ more people, invest more money, and grow your business for our joint economy. Now, I can't see very well because
I
they're bright
actually
lights.
wanted to do the first question. I'm going to take the liberty to do that, and it's a little bit of a curveball. So, first question, when you were at school, what did you want to be? And did you ever think you'd be sat on stage at the Palladium talking about businesses?
First of all, no, I never thought that I would be sat on stage at the Palladium during panto season. So this is, I can already see the newspaper headlines. But this is no joke, as I tell everyone. This is very serious. And there's a thing that's written here about Robin Hood, and I was going to make a joke about Rachel Reeves being Robin Hood, only that she's taking both from the rich and the poor. But I wasn't sure that it was going to land well. Did I want to be on stage when I was a child? I think I wanted to be a pop star. I think all children want to be pop stars. And I wanted to be a doctor, like my dad, and I wanted to do all sorts of things. The one thing I never thought I'd be doing was politics. I sort of fell into it accidentally. So here I am, and I'm doing the very best I can. And hopefully you all think I'm doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is John McGurk. This is in two parts, if I may. I'm in the automotive industry, and I've got a commercial property investment business. I've been in business for 20 years. It's a family-run company, and I started in 2002. I employ a number of local people from local families in a small village in Warwickshire. Last year, I paid 67% tax on the income I generated. and this is the smallest amount I could possibly get away with paying. This year, with raised national insurance, that figure will grow, and I have nothing left to reinvest and to help my business grow. After some consideration, I worked out that I could move to Portugal. My business could perform 50% less, and I would have to make people redundant, but I would actually be better off. My first question is, why should I stay? The next point is that this room today is full of very hard-working people. Today our energy has been directed away from where our focus should be, which is on growth for our businesses, our communities and of course our country. Shouldn't there be a flat rate of tax across the board that's low enough to not warrant tax avoidance planning, but equally substantial enough to satisfy the UK's economy?
Thank you. So I'll take both those questions in turn. My answer might be longer than usual, just to give a bit of context. I, before being Leader of the Opposition, was the Trade Secretary and Business Secretary. And I travelled all around the world, as far as New Zealand, Mexico, Italy, India, the Gulf, and what I saw is other countries being very, very serious about making sure that they have growth and productivity in their country at a time when I feel we are often distracted by many trivial things. We've stopped being serious about how to deliver these things. And we've made an assumption that everything's always going to be fine, that this country is always going to be wealthy, and what we need to do is figure out how to share that wealth out, rather than how to create that wealth. We are living off the work that previous generations did. We need to start creating for the next set of generations, rather than just living off that inheritance. And that's what is fundamental to the first question you asked. Why should you stay? When other economies are competing for your business, they're competing for your talent, they're competing for your productivity. You should stay because we are going to fix this. I tell people a lot of the time that the system is broken, and they don't understand what it is that I mean by that. It's that we are wired for an old world, a world of the 80s and 90s, not for the world that we live in now, where information travels so quickly, where you have aggressive competition from economies like China, and where we continue regulating ourselves to very high standards, which we should do, but in a way that other countries don't follow, which puts us at a disadvantage, which means that there's no level playing field if you're a farmer, for example, and many others. And we need to start thinking differently. And quite often when I say these things, it doesn't get much traction. It's easier for me to talk about sandwiches and get on the front pages of the newspapers than to talk about productivity. This is the world we live in. We have to become more serious. So you should stay, because we're going to fix this, but you should stay because the fundamentals of the UK are still quite unique. What we have here, in terms of the quality of our education, the standards, the regulatory standards, the rule of law, all of these are reasons why people still want to invest in this country. And we have been making it more difficult for them. Some of that, I admit, happened with us. For good reasons, we brought in regulations. But actually, we need to start thinking about how to encourage the best and the brightest to invest in this country, not elsewhere. But also, how to make sure that we keep good people. When we talk about net migration, people focus on who's coming into the country. I worry about who's leaving, because the numbers matter, but who is staying, who is coming in, who is leaving, that matters more. And we need to make sure that we keep all of our talent in this country so that we can have something to hand over to the next generation. The second question you asked was about a flat tax. And this is an idea that I've heard many times. It's very attractive. But if we're going to get to that sort of scenario, there's a lot of work we will need to do firsthand. At the moment, we are a welfare state with a little bit of an economy attached to it. We've got to turn that around. We cannot afford flat taxes where we are now. We need to make sure we rewire our economy so that we can lighten the burden of tax and of regulation on individuals and on those businesses that are just starting out in particular. People see the businesses that close, they don't see the businesses that never started in the first place. And I'm quite worried about that, because those are the seeds for the next generation. Thank you.
I think we have one more question here.
Hello, my name is Janine Bloor. I'm an entrepreneur. I've set a business up from scratch and latterly sold it. I work very hard with my husband, who is a farmer and also has an agriculture and machinery business, and we're based up in Staffordshire. Originally, I was just discussing one simple question which you have already answered, which, just to reiterate, can you see a better route than the current one out of this situation? And what would you do with BPR? I do know your answers to that question. So really, to echo everybody's energy in this room and huge talent and entrepreneurship that we have, as leader of the opposition, this is a very urgent situation, and we don't have the energy. We have to look after our businesses and keep the economy going, and we need to galvanise a much wider audience. And what can you do to help us galvanise the whole business community to make sure that the current government really listen to you and we can vote you back in quickly?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. I think that it's important that I actually emphasise what it is we are going to do, or why we are going to do it. So I have said that we will reverse this. And when you say that you're going to scrap a tax that's been brought in, people will ask, well, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it? And my principle is that if I don't believe the tax will actually raise any money because people will change their behaviour, then there's no point having it. And I know that this will be the case with agricultural property relief. I know that this is the case with what they've done with independent schools. It won't raise any money. It's just charging some people a lot extra. The same thing is going to happen with BPR. People will change their behaviour. And then all of a sudden, we will find that we've penalised quite a few business people, but we're not raising the money that we want to raise for public services. Even what the Treasury estimates it's going to raise, I think, is not worth the aggro that they are creating for people. So where we do not believe that money is going to come from a tax change, we will not have it. And that is why I'm very happy to confirm that we will be reversing not just APR, but BPR. But on the second question of how we can continue putting pressure on the government and holding the government to account, the petition that we had, Stop the Farm Tax, has been very influential. We're finding out where the problem is most acute, and then we can work with local communities to make sure the pressure is brought to bear, not just on the people in the cabinet, but actually individual MPs. And I say this as an MP myself. You do not know the power that you have. You focus it locally on those individuals who should be standing in the way of this change, but are going along with it. You will have many members of parliament who have probably voted in favour of this. You need to let them know how you feel, and we will support you in that wherever we can. We need to make sure that in holding the government to account, we bring the rest of the public with us. At the moment, people, especially those in urban communities, have thought, oh, this is something just about farmers. It's got nothing to do with me. It's just like the miners' strike. It's just something that impacts a small group of people. What I can do as leader of the opposition is show the knock-on effect. How it's going to impact everybody. What happens to farmers impacts everybody. What happens to small business owners impacts everyone. It impacts your community. Your prices will go up. Jobs will disappear. The supply chain starts to fragment. That's one of the things that we can do. We need to tell the story of why this matters, not just to those of us who are sitting in here, or those who might be watching on TV. It matters to every single person in our society. And we have a platform to tell those stories. That's what I will be doing as leader of the opposition, telling your story so that even those people who are not directly impacted understand that one way or another, they will pay the price too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and Kemi, thank you so much. We know how busy you are, so thank you so much for finding the time again.
Can I just say thank you to you, Emily, and also to the people who organised this, Martin, Paul, Andrew, I think Ollie and Clive. They've done such a fantastic job, and they actually help provide my office, my team, my MPs, Vicky Atkins, who's the Shadow Secretary of State for the Environment. They've given us a lot of information, which has shown us what's really going on. So I wanted to thank them as well for giving us a line to you and letting you know that we are here to support you. Thank you, everybody.